Okay, Manley, is anyone else asking themselves what the hell is going on right now with this market? Because that's definitely what all of us professionals are doing on our side of things. And it seems like everyone is frozen in decision making because of this uncertainty. It feels like a Forrest Gump moment. I was today years old when I finally understood what the real metaphor behind Forrest Gump was. You know the scene, right? Jenny yelling across the field, "Run, Forrest, run!" And I always thought it was just about him running away from something. But it was way more powerful than that. It was about breaking through a narrative that kept holding him captive. And I'm talking about a specific scene in Forrest Gump that most people, including myself, completely missed until now. Until I started seeing it play out in real life, day in, day out, in the mortgage market that we're in, and the decisions that people are making because of it.
Yeah, young Forrest is wearing those metal braces on his legs. They're heavy, they're restrictive, designed to keep him from running, to keep him grounded. And then Jenny yells those famous words, "Run, Forrest, run," just like you said. And then something breaks. Not the braces, the narrative, the story he was told that he couldn't do what he could do. He runs, the braces fall off, and he never stops running for the rest of his life. Right now, in this exact moment, there's invisible braces on every person waiting to buy a home. They're psychological ones, and they're way heavier than you think.
That's right. And we spent the last 6 months watching something happen that nobody predicted. Every forecast made in January is now worthless. Every signal that was supposed to guide you, that's now noise. And every expert who told us to wait, yeah, they're silent. And the people who are still waiting, they're still wearing those braces, still convinced that some condition has to change before they make a move.
Yeah, Anthony, here's what nobody's talking about. Something that happened in the first half of the year that nobody is connecting to your mortgage decision right now. And if you understand what actually happened, everything changes. Stay with us.
Okay, Manley, here's what you and I have been hearing for the past 6 months, right? People tell us they're waiting because why? The market is too uncertain. Rates could drop. The Fed could pivot. The economy, it could shift. So they're sitting on the sidelines telling themselves that, hey, I'm being smart about this. They're being strategic, that they're gathering information and waiting for the right signal. But Forrest Gump's mama, she had a phrase for this exact kind of thinking. Stupid is as stupid does.
I knew you were going there.
I mean, waiting while the world moves around you, that's not strategy. It's inaction dressed up as intelligence. Every single person who told us back in January that rates were going to be at all-time lows, I may have been on that boat, and that boat has sank. But by the end of this year, we're kind of silent.
Yeah.
Right? And we were not wrong because the rates didn't move in our favor. We're wrong because we believe that there was a predictable pattern to follow it. And now we're trying to time a box of chocolates, and that's simply not how the markets work.
Anthony, that's the trap. Because we live in a world where information feels like it should equal certainty. We have Bloomberg, we have CNBC, we have the Federal Reserve releasing statements every 6 weeks. We have real-time oil prices. We have geopolitical alerts. They're like every 10 minutes. It's crazy. We have more data than any generation in human history.
Facts.
And so the assumption is that with all that data, you should be able to see what the future has coming. And you should be able to time it, right? I'm thinking you should be able to wait for the perfect moment. But then Mrs. Gump asked the question that applies directly to this market. What's normal anyway? Because that's what people are waiting for. Normal, stable, predictable. And normal doesn't exist in this market. It never has, and it never will.
Yeah, so if we take a look at this, 30,000 feet up, we can see what's actually happening, right, while people wait for the normal. Every new headline becomes another reason to stay on the sidelines. The Iran tensions, the Powell stepping down, oil volatility, and the new AI uncertainty that everyone's feeling. Each one becomes a new excuse, a new reason why now is not the time. And that information, it keeps piling up. But here's the thing. Information without action, it's just flat out noise. The people waiting for the noise to stop, they're going to be waiting forever.
That's facts.
Right? Because the noise, that's the market right now.
Yep.
And the noise is the environment that we operate in, whether we like it or not. This is not a glitch. This is the permanent condition of the markets today. And the people who figure that out are already 2 steps ahead of their constituents.
Yeah. So, Anthony, the real question becomes this. Are you going to keep running or are you going to keep standing still? That's the big one. That road ahead, it's never been clear. And it wasn't clear in 2020 when the pandemic shut everything down.
That's right.
It wasn't clear in 2008 when the whole market crashed and everybody went, holy moly. And it certainly wasn't clear in 2022 when rates spiked from 3 to 7% in under 12 months. It was chaos, right? Nobody knew what was going on.
That's right.
And today, it's not clear. But here's what we do know. The people who owned homes throughout every one of those moments, they all came out ahead. And the people who kept waiting for clarity, they missed the boat completely, and that window is closed.
Yeah, I mean, the moral of the story is this. It's better to be in the market than to time the market. And you're never going to be ahead of that person who decided to make a decision compared to the one who was indecisioned about making the biggest decision that you can make for your financial future, which is home ownership.
Yeah, no, it's kind of crazy, and I think about this thought often. If you're working with your financial advisor and you're trying to get in the market, do you ever just tell your financial advisor, I'm going to wait till my Apple stock goes back down to $78 and that's when I'm entering into the market?
Right? No,
No,
never.
you wouldn't even consider that.
No.
This is the biggest financial asset that you're probably ever going to buy, and people are waiting for an anomaly to come back to an interest rate or something that happened years ago. They're waiting for Apple stock to go back to $78 a month a piece. Like,
You nailed it. It's people are operating out of fear, not out of facts. And the problem is fear sells.
Yeah.
And facts smell. And you know, can you imagine if we went on and we looked on CNN or CSNBC or Fox News and they were just like, hey, everyone needs to not be afraid and everyone needs to, you know, have a calm focus on what you need to do on an economic standpoint. No, they're going to be like, the sky's falling, the world's ending. Oh my God.
the original statement had no shock factor. Nobody's buying that. Nobody's selling that. It's just not going to work. Yeah. Move on.
Move on.
And just like when we work on our social media, we're looking for hook and something to grab somebody's attention and have them say, wait, what did he say? It's that same thing. And it's working against you, people. It's working against you.
And as this AI automation uncertainty comes, that window of opportunity is going to be closing for the middle class until there is no middle class. It becomes a forever renter dependency class, because that's where we're headed. The more AI comes available, the less jobs are. And guess what? One person's spending is another person's income. So if that goes down, our GDP goes down. Home ownership, if you thought it was hard now, wait in 5 or 10 years.
Get harder.
It's
Facts.
going to be a different animal.
Facts.
Life was like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get.
All right, Anthony, let's talk about what actually happened in the first 6 months of 2026.
Lots of stuff.
Right? January, our friend Jerome Powell, he was still the chair for the Feds. Every mortgage forecast said rates were going to drop to 5.8, maybe 5.5 by fall.
Never.
Some people might even said we'd see maybe a 4 handle, something in the 4 range.
Who would say that?
Don't know who would say that. That was a consensus, and that was locked in, right? So what changed?
Yeah. Not on my bingo card.
Yeah, big thing that wasn't on my bingo card was the Iran tensions. They spiked everything. I don't think anybody saw that coming to the head. It did. It jumped oil prices dramatically, and the Feds, they paused the cutting cycle that they were on, and then inflation stuck way higher than expected because of this oil mess. And then Powell, he said he couldn't take it anymore, so he stepped down. He's out. He's outie. That Kevin Warsh came over to take his spot.
I thought he was going to be a savior.
Well, the numbers were telling us something different, and he's a lot hard line on the rate policy than we were expecting. And now we're sitting at somewhere around 6.49 to 6.55% on a 30-year fixed. Hey, that January forecast that people were hanging their hat on, they weren't just off. That sucker is dead.
Yeah, you're speaking facts right now, Manley. But here's what nobody is asking. What were you actually waiting for, right? Forrest Gump's mama understood something that the wait and see crowd, they just did not see.
She is so smart.
She said, you've got to put the past behind you before you can actually move on. And that's the exact problem that we're seeing right now with the housing market.
Facts.
People are carrying January's forecast like it still matters, like it's going to happen. They're carrying the memory of 3% unicorn rates back from 2021 like it's still coming back. And they're carrying 2024's expectations and refusing to let it go. Let it go. Let it go. That weight is keeping them from moving and making decisions. And while they're carrying the past all on their backs, the market, it's moving forward without them. So here's the real trap. People think if they wait long enough, hey, prices will fall and everything resets. But we're not in a falling price market anymore. We're in a stagflation market. Prices stay elevated. They don't drop meaningfully. They pause, but they're definitely not going to reverse like people are hoping for. So every month you can wait, but guess what? It's not going to get a better price. You're waiting for a price that simply is never coming. That unicorn was shot and put out the pasture.
Facts right there. It ain't coming back. And then there's one thing else that's adding a little mess to this whole picture. It's the job market piece. AI automation. Another excuse, right, for people.
Will Smith knows all about that.
Yeah, he's scared to death of those people, and so am I. Hey, we're in a moment of massive uncertainty around employment right now. Those are the facts. So what are people doing? They're waiting. They think, I'll wait until AI uncertainty, it clarifies itself. I'll wait until my job is secure. I'll wait until this economy settles. But that famous Mrs. Gump, she also said you have to do the best with what God gave you.
Facts.
Not what you wish you had. Not what the market was in 2021. We're not going back. You have to use what you have right now, today. And what you have right now is a real estate market where prices are not falling, where more buyers are entering every single month, and where your leverage as a buyer gets weaker the longer you wait.
That's right. So while you're waiting for clarity on jobs, guess what? The market, it's getting more crowded. While you're waiting for rates to fall, your income, it's getting more uncertain. And you're waiting for the whole thing to unravel so you can, quote, buy cheap. But what if it doesn't unravel, right?
Yeah,
what if it's not? And what if stagflation is the baseline now? Because if prices stay elevated, if rates stay elevated, if AI keeps disrupting employment, what exactly is the condition you're waiting for? I mean, at some point, waiting stops being a strategy and starts being a surrender, a disease.
Yeah.
And people on the other side, they're not making indecisions direct where their future financial ability is. They're building equity. They're locking in fixed payments. While renters, while people who are operating out of fear, they are just circling around and around and around like they have mad cow disease.
That's a good analogy when you're sitting here in Wisconsin, my friend.
Right? The deer in headlights that just keeps going in circles.
Yep,
and it's like,
yep.
that's the same thing with, I got a client that literally for the past 12 years, their indecision has got them from, I'm going to buy a $270,000 house in Vegas to 300 to 400 to 500. That same house is now 700,000. And guess what? They have this vision that it's just going to magically go back.
Yeah, not happening.
I would love when gas is 15 cents.
Not happening. We ain't going back to $78 shares of Apple.
I
bought a bunch, and I was stupidly sold them at 96.
Right, thinking, hey, I just made a heyday.
I just made a little bit of money. Let's go.
Agreed. So why? Because you were trying to time the market, right?
They say timing is everything. In this circumstance, timing is everything. Because the time is now.
Correct.
It's not waiting for what's going to happen tomorrow or trying to think of what happened in the past and manifest that back to life because it ain't happening.
Yeah, I think people need to understand that you need to purchase like your life depends on it.
Yeah.
Because your financial life does depend on it. The window of home ownership opportunity is closing for the American family. In the next 5 to 7 years, I don't know if they're going to have a fighting chance to be able to purchase because one person's spending is another person's income. The more we have AI and automation, the less spending, the less income. That's going to be a direct hit to the middle-class family trying to buy the American dream. So is the American dream dead? No, but
Definitely changing.
I mean, the scene I see is like on Ghost, when, you know, that scene, right, with Patrick Swayze. You know that scene, right?
Enlighten me.
You did the scene where he's a ghost and he sees her and the tear drips down and he can't talk to her.
Yeah, I know the scene.
That's going to be your future self. Like, why?
Looking back.
Why was I trying to save $100 on my payment when I just lost $100,000 in equity? Like, what? Like, pick your battles.
$30,000 in rent.
Like, and if anything, right now you have a choice to be uncomfortably calculated. In 5 years, you may not even have a choice. Like, you're going to be a renter forever, and you're going to like it. Like, you're going to like it. You ain't going to own nothing, and you're going to be happy. That's where we're headed to.
Very well could be.
Yeah.
For no particular reason, I decided to go for a little run.
Forrest Gump didn't have a perfect plan. He didn't wake up one morning and say, I'm going to run across America because conditions are ideal.
No.
He just started running. Life was happening around him. Chaos, loss, political upheaval, wars, shift in the entire American landscape, and he just kept moving. He didn't want to wait for the road to be clear. He didn't want to wait for someone to tell him it was safe. He ran, and he was running, and it changed everything. Now, his mama said something that applies directly to the decision in front of you right now. She said those shoes, those magic shoes, they could take you anywhere. And that's exactly what homeownership is. It's that vehicle that can take you anywhere. It builds equity. It locks in your housing costs.
That's right.
It converts your monthly payment from something that someone else's wealth into your own. But it only works if you start running.
Here's what actually happens when you stop waiting and start moving. First, you lock in the rate. Not the perfect rate, the rate that exists today. On a $400,000 mortgage, the difference between a 6.49 and a 5.8 is roughly $200 a month. $2,400 a year. That matters. But here is what matters even more. Every month you own instead of renting, you're building equity. You're locking in your housing payment. Rent, it goes up. Your mortgage payment, it doesn't. In 5 years, your rent could be 30% higher. Your mortgage payment stays exactly the same. That's leverage. That's control. That's what people who are still renting are giving up every single month while they wait.
Second, you stop playing the comparison game. You stop measuring today's rates against some fantasy rate that will never come back. You accept what the market is. You accept that geopolitical tensions will always exist. Mm-hmm. You accept that AI and automation will always create uncertainty. And you move anyway. That's what separates people who own from people who rent. Not intelligence, not timing, not luck.
Facts.
Action despite uncertainty. That is the only variable that ever mattered in wealth building. And the people who bought 6 months ago, despite all that noise, they're already building equity.
That's right.
They're already ahead. And they're not thinking about where they should have bought, what they should have done differently. They're thinking about their home they're living in today.
That's right. I mean, Forrest Gump, he asked his mom, hey, what's my destiny? And she told him he was going to have to figure that out himself. And that is exactly the answer you need to hear right now if you're renting. Nobody is going to ring a bell and tell you it's the perfect time to buy. The Fed is not going to send you a letter. The market's not going to go quiet. Your destiny as a homeowner is something only you can decide. Call your lender today. Run the numbers under today's conditions, not fantasy conditions, not unicorn conditions, today's conditions. Figure out your path and start freaking running.
Yeah, stop being a deer in the headlights.
You look at these clients and some of them, they're like deer with hemorrhoids.
Oh my gosh. Deer hemorrhoids are really rough.
Have you seen a deer with hemorrhoids?
Yeah, they walk really funny.
It is a spectacle. I mean,
yeah,
it's
very, very much a spectacle.
There's a lot of deer with hemorrhoids in Wisconsin, not in Hawaii.
Yeah, well, the deer population in Hawaii is very minute.
Oh, no, we got massive deer population.
They're not massive deer, though.
No.
They're little tiny red deers.
Yeah, but they don't have hemorrhoids.
Hey, dummy!
Okay, so let's pull up the dashboard and show the viewers exactly where we stand right now as of June 16th, 2026.
The 30-year fixed rate is sitting around 6.58%. That's what you pay on today's new mortgage. The 10-year Treasury yield, which is the engine that drives where rates go, is at 4.85%. The MBI's 5.0 coupon, which is essentially the bond market's pulse on mortgage money, is at 98.1%. And the mortgage spread, meaning the gap between the bond market and what you actually pay at the closing table, is at about 2.57%. That spread is elevated. That means there's room for rates to improve without the Fed doing a single thing.
Yeah, so bottom line, the market, it's tight, but it's moving. And the spread tells us the ceiling, it's not permanent.
You died on a Saturday morning. I had you placed here under our tree.
So let's bring it all the way back to where we started. Those invisible braces. The noise, the frozen decisions, the forecasts that didn't survive contact with reality.
That's right.
Here's the answer. Those braces were never the market. Those braces were always the story you told yourself about the market. Forrest didn't wait for perfect conditions. He just ran. And every single person who stopped waiting and started moving in the market, they're already building equity, already locking in payments. They're already ahead. The people who are still waiting, still wearing those braces that don't exist, just take them off. Share this episode with someone or a person you know who is still sitting on the sidelines waiting for the signal that is never coming. You know exactly who that person is.
That's right. And if this episode hit different, like it, subscribe, and drop your questions and comments. We read them, every single one of them. More importantly, call your lender, run your numbers, and make your move. We are Anthony and Manley, and this is the Mortgage 101 podcast. We will see you next week.
See you next week.
Girl from the heart of Wisconsin to the waves of Hawaii. Manley and Anthony keep it real, not salesy. Breaking down rates and the truth you need to know with a little soul and a little homegrown flow. It's the Mortgage 101 podcast where real talk meets home at last. Manley's got that Midwest soul. Anthony brings that island roll when the market swings and you don't go fast.